Hello and welcome to Bearside Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Blair Malloy. I'm joined today by former Motherwell forward John Sutton to discuss the sensational quitting of Stuart Kettlewell, who left his job yesterday. John, what was your initial reaction when you found out that Stuart Kettlewell had left his post?
I was pretty shocked, to be honest. He's done an incredible job since he's been there. Took over when they're at the bottom of the league. Saved them when I think it's fair to say a lot of Motherwell fans feared the absolute worst. And then last season, pretty solid campaign. He'd lost his top scorer, Kevin Van Veen, who was Scottish Player of the Year. Took a chance on Theo Bair, who didn't come with a huge reputation or a great pedigree, and done well last year, and this year again they're fighting for top six. So from Motherwell's point of view, I, I think they're having a decent time of things, and when you consider the size of some of the teams in the league, I think they're doing incredibly well. With it. So to see him walk away from it was a bit of a shock.
Stuart Kettlewell mentioned in a reason given as to why he quit the job was personal abuse directed towards him and making his family feel that they couldn't go to games anymore. Was that a particularly shocking revelation for you?
I think football fans can be fickle. I think if you're playing football in the style of the Harlem Globetrotters and winning 10-0 every week, there would always be a section of the support who sort of comes along to give you a bit of stick or possibly takes their own frustrations out. But no, that's not a good position to be in. And just in terms of people are passionate about football, they're passionate about the club, which I understand, so that they've got feelings about it. But if you have a look at the league, are Motherwell going to compete with Celtic and Rangers? Probably not. Hibs, Hearts, Aberdeen, Dundee United, all bigger teams than them. So I think the people who are giving him stick need to probably be a little bit careful what they wish for, because you look at the like of Dunfermline, Falkirk, who have got relegated and taken a long time to come back. The job he's done in my mind has been really, really good. I think the complaint has been over the brand of football. But I think, again, you've got to be very careful what you wish for with that. And it can't have been an easy job when you lose your Player of the Year, Blair Spittle, and someone who's just scored 20 goals for you, who's replaced someone else who was Scottish Player of the Year and scored 20 goals the season before.
You touched on it there, just how much he has done for the club in his tenure there. Is it a case of how much more could he have realistically done as Motherwell manager?
Yeah, I think that would be the case in his mind a little bit. You know, I think when it gets to like that with your family though, it's not nice. I mean, certainly, you know, I'm guessing his children like going to the games, watching the dad manage and their team play. I think when it gets to that, it doesn't surprise me. It's probably tipped him over the edge. But it's just a shame. I mean, obviously, clearly the club haven't sacked him. I think they would have liked him to stay, but I think it's just a bit too much. I think it's players as well. When you play, you understand that the fans might be upset with certain aspects of the game, with certain aspects of play. But I think you've got to draw a line when it comes to families. They pay their money and have an opinion on your performance. But when it's making families uncomfortable at games, that's not a good situation for anyone.
Earlier, we spoke to Billy Brown, chairman of the Scottish Managers and Coaches Association. He described it as out of order, the abuse that he received. Do you think that this is now a trend where managers just have to expect this kind of abuse from the sidelines?
I think there is always there's always been that, and you got to be careful what you wish for. People are passionate about the clubs, but they get a bit down about things now and again. So naturally there's a spillover, but I think once you get families involved, I think there's a line that is crossed, and I think Billy's probably right. It is unacceptable. By all means, voice your opinion. I think sometimes as players you've got to accept that you're going to get booed, that you're going to get a little bit of stick. Fans are passionate about their club and want the very best for the club. But I think once you move on to families and sort of things out of your work, it's a step too far.
Do you think perhaps this is maybe a growing trend in society as a whole? People hiding behind keyboards on social media now feeling a bit braver and this crossing over into the stands?
Possibly. I always think there's a bit of a fine line because people expressing themselves on social media, they obviously got an interest in the club. They want to give their opinion, which I think is a good thing. I think having an interest in your football club and going on social media and giving an opinion, whether it be about tactics, whether certainly I think the engagement with the football clubs has been really good, and it's been, funnily enough, interesting to see the reaction to the ultras, because I think Motherwell were one of the first teams that started that. Personally, I think the more interest you can get in Scottish football, the more interest you can get in the clubs, it's really good. The more rivalries there are, the more engagement with it. All of that, I think, is an excellent thing. But like I say, I think the line has to be drawn when it's sort of families are making people feel unwelcome at the game, especially when they're on your team, on your side of things. That for me is a step too far.
We've spoken a little bit about the expectations of Motherwell fans and where they perhaps should realistically be in the league. What was your experience when you were playing there? What did you feel like you were expected of you at Fir Park?
I love my time at Motherwell. I often compare it a little bit to another club I played for, St Mirren. I mean, St Mirren got top six in Europe last year, and talking to St Mirren fans, it's like, it was a dream season for them. It was incredible. At Motherwell, that's pretty much expected. I think they've punched above their weight for so long. Um, it's just tricky for anyone who's going to walk into the job with those expectations. Over the years, they've always had a reputation for scoring lots of goals, exciting games. Certainly when I was there, the club itself and the people there expected you to go out and compete with Rangers and Celtic and achieve these things, which is great. But I do think there does need to be a little check on the expectations at times, and understand some mitigating factors as well. If you're losing Scottish Player of the Year, it's tough. If you're losing your 20 goal a season striker, it's tough. And another point that we haven't touched on is, Stuart has also probably made the club millions of pounds by nurturing Lennon Miller. The way he has, because he's put him in the team as a 16-year-old, and I would certainly expect him to go for at least a multi-million-pound transfer, whether it's this window or next window. So yeah, I do think there has to be an element of realism and an element of acknowledging that the job Stuart's done and the club has done. And yeah, we all want to win things. We all want to, progress, but just an element of realism as to what the club is capable of and how they are actually doing.
If we look at where both parties go from here now, then starting off with Stuart Kettlewell, you highlighted all the positives, taking them to a cup semi-final, fifth in the league, nurturing young talent like Lennon Miller and selling Theo Bair on for a high profit. That will certainly go in his favour when he looks to get a new job. Will how he left Motherwell this time around, will that play against him any when he's gone back into football, and do you expect him to be out the game for too long?
There's lots of ifs, buts, and maybes in there. I think on his CV, he's taken the club from the bottom of the league, and he's made them very safe. The following season, they've had a good season. He's brought players in who are pretty unknown or don't have big reputations, done well, and sold them on for a profit. I think the Lennon Miller one is a big thing for him because He's put a 16-year-old in the team, and I think Motherwell are going to make a massive profit out of that. No one knows what the future holds and what people are looking for, but I think I think his CV has only been strengthened by the job he's done there.
And as for Motherwell, names that have been mentioned with the club: Owen Coyle, Kevin Thompson, Swedish manager Fredrik Holmberg. What kind of direction do you expect the club to go in now?
It's difficult to tell. Last couple of appointments have been quite young. Personally, I would love to see Owen Coyle there. I know everyone I talk to who's played for him talks about his sort of natural enthusiasm for the game. I think that fits in really, really well with Motherwell. So I'd like to see him. I've seen Neil Lennon's name mentioned to play with Neil, and I think that would be another strong candidate. The other ones I can't really comment on. I don't know them personally. I don't know enough about them. But certainly, Owen Coyle, Neil Lennon, I think it'd be, a good fit with the passion they both have for the game. I think the fans like that. That was maybe one of the criticisms about Stuart, from what I've heard. A little bit defensive, a little bit back foot. I think maybe Owen and Neil would be a contrast to that. But like I say, I think you've got to be careful with things as well, because Stuart's done an incredible job.
Brilliant, John. Thanks very much for joining us here on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel.